My first thought of death was at age 5. And I could vividly remember and picture me just walking out through my front door. When all of a sudden this light just hit me and I felt like I just woke up. It felt like my first breath of air. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's not what I remember the most. It was like, what I remember the most was that it was my first thought of death. Like the first thing I thought about was, what if it's all black in the end? And I just ceased to exist after that point. I try to think, what is it like to think nothing? I got so scared to the point where I just started gasping for air and covering my ears from all the sounds. It all just felt so much at the time. And I just began to cry and I just bawled my eyes out and I just put my head against the couch. I was terrified. In those times, I remember vividly just being left home alone a lot. And, you know, it's because people had to work. They had to find a means to an end. Every time my mom went out to work, I always thought, like, what if something bad happened to her? Like, what if she got in a car wreck? We didn't have phones at the time, so we couldn't really check up on each other like that. And when we could, I had a call, and they'd have to get the office, and the office had to, you know, like, it was all that. So I would stay home a lot by myself, and the only thing that would always get left behind from my mom was a pot of rice on the stove. And I used to not really think about it a lot, but now looking back, like, she would think about me in the mornings. So that was going unacknowledged at the time, you know? And I would honestly just think that every time that she left for work, she did it on purpose, just because she didn't like me. You know, I don't know why. I don't know why. I would just get mad, bro, for no reason. I'd just be like, yo, looking back at it, I'm like, yo, she did everything for me. That's what, you know, and I didn't see that, bro, and it was so crazy to me. And I just had a really good track record on the outside, but in the inside, in the household, bro, I was a mess, bro. I would be screaming at video games all the time. I would just be getting in fights and slamming doors, you know. I was pretty mean, bro. But it was not always like that. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, I was a decent kid, but at the same time, I think I a little overextended some parts. And I always just wanted to release some anger, and I didn't know why. And I didn't really know anything of God, or just knowing a little bit. But even with that little bit, I just really wasn't impressed. And I can be honest with you, every time that I went to church, it felt like everybody's eyeballs were on me. And I could be like saying I'm selfish and like I don't think about myself, but for me, bro, it just felt like that, you know? So that kind of got me a little uncomfortable, and it feels like everybody's out to get me. So growing up, I was always on and off about God, but I wasn't really on and off enough to where I want to do harm to other people. I was just not there in faith. I was just not there. I was most likely just going out, play ball or video games. But even when I play video games, like, I was just raging a ton, you know? And I would just always be on and off. It would just be a thing for me to be on and off, you know, lukewarm, basically. It was always like that, you know? I wasn't being a disastrous kid, but I was calming down. Growing up those next few years were always like that. Wanting to believe, but everything around me made it hard. I mean, I don't think I should even be here. Looking back at everything that I've been through, all the little near-death experiences, I felt like I should have been off this planet a long time ago, you know? And for some reason, it still got me thinking about why am I here? So basically, my mother's mission was to get us out of that childhood that she had, because she wanted something better for us, right? And so, as she was migrating over to the other side, at one point in the whole walking group, they had to take a break. All of them decided to take a quick little break, and I was wrapped up in my mother's arms. She was just fighting back to not fall asleep. You know when you get those when you're in class, and it's like the worst thing ever, gets beating you, and like you can't really do anything about it. So that's kind of what happened. And in that split second, she let go of me in her arms, and she let me fall on top of a very sharp wooden stick on the ground. I still got that mark on my chest, by the way. Yeah, I can show you guys. It's pretty badass, bro. I always wondered what it was until my mother told me one time. I was like, what? I was dropped on a stick. Imagine I just, like, you know, they're just like, rip. You go up to heaven and you're like, what did he die from? A stick. Anyways, and so like basically I would always feel like I was mean mugging Earth, mean mugging my reality, because everything that's ever happened has always happened for a reason. Somebody really has to be looking over me right now. This can't be possible. That's how I saw it in my eyes. And it slowly kept getting more like that. Like I kind of started seeing that side instead of like the world's out to get me. And so my mindset just shifting in that way. My relationship with my mom started getting way better. And now it's like I can give my mom a hug. I don't know. Before I couldn't. I can give anybody a hug. Before I couldn't. It just felt weird. I don't know why. It just felt so weird giving hugs. It's like that's how it's supposed to feel. Like it's not supposed to feel weird. Slowly but surely, I started appreciating more and more. You know, my relationship got way better with her and everybody else. And slowly, God, you just gotta try to see the good in everything every single time. There's no reason to think negatively. Even though I might be saying this right now, but I still have this negative self-talk. That's something, if you speak it out, it's not just because you do it, but it's because you believe it. And because you want to believe it. And honestly, I do know that I'm still a work in progress. I'm not perfect. I didn't really want to come on here to tell this story just because I want you guys to feel bad for me or to compare who had a work. Like, I don't care about any of that, you know? I just want to share a perspective. A perspective that I feel like not most people have heard a lot.